Good day, brothers and sisters, One Nation Tribal Alliance, friends, family, near and far. Today, I'm here to just share a little bit about, I guess, what I have been mentoring on. And, I just want you all to be aware of uh, what is going on in the outside world as well as what's going on within you. And, by saying what is going on, we don't worry about that. Just you need to worry about yourself. So, I just want to make you all aware about the things that we have in our life, in this body, in this spiritual realm that, we tend to overlook. You know, in the mentorship class, I was talking about a couple things. One of them is Spidey Senses, is what I call it. And, you know, I'll go back to the time when I was being shared the knowledge with about who we are and who I am and everything. And there's one elder. Um, he lived in Zuni and he was from the family that was really close to my family. In fact, I believe we were in the same clan. But anyway, this elderly man, he was blind and he loved his Salem cigarettes. I remember that. And you could not, if you look at him from a distance, you could not tell he was blind. And what he did was such an amazing things that I used to watch him. I mean, he would get a cigarette out of his own pocket and put it in his hand, light a match, light the cigarette without any problem. I said, wow, put your hand in front of him. You know, he knew you were doing that, but he did not say anything because he didn't like to be, I guess, made fun of or something like that. But he was a very respected individual in the community. When he ran out of cigarettes, he'd get up. The closest store was probably about 2 or 3 blocks down the road, and you know, or he go visiting. When he go visiting in the middle village, it's not a straight shot. There's houses, there's buildings, there's an old church right in front of him on to whomever he goes to visit. And he would just walk like he knows where he's going. He didn't have a cane, he didn't have anything. But every once in a while, you'll see him stop. And when he gets stopped, he would just stand there and he would clap. And with the vibration of the sound hitting off the buildings, he knew exactly where he was. And another thing, he used to come to our house, and my sisters tried to play around with him. They would, they would say, would you like this? Would you like that?" And if he says no, no, because they would put it in front of his face and just move it around to where he we knew he couldn't see it because he was blind. But first of all, he knew exactly what they were doing because you could see his face moving with the way they were shaking it. And he knew again that they were playing with him, so he said no. But when they put it down, exactly. He heard where it landed, so he knew he'll reach over there and grab it. He said, and then he'll say, "Well, I made up my mind. I decided to have it. Might be a banana. Let's use a banana." I remember my sister was doing that with the banana. When she put it down, he reached over and grabbed the banana and he ate it. So, Spidey senses. Why could he do that? Was he special or what? And as I went along in life, one of the things that I learned to do was sign language. Sign language, again, the deaf people can feel your words. They can't hear you, but they can feel it. And when they were trying to teach me that, I had a blind roommate. I mean, a deaf roommate. That's what got me interested in sign language. You know, his name was Robert, and he said he would he was deaf and he was signing for me, and he taught me sign language, the basic sign language, ABC, alphabets, and then he started working with me on sign language, and so I got to learn sign language because that just came natural to me for him to train me. But then he went in deep about telling me, as a deaf person, I can feel your words, I can hear your words by vibration. And I said, okay, how is that? And he says, you don't realize it, but when one of your senses go out, the other three will pick up. And I said, okay. So he told me, he said, watch a blind man. What is a universal cane for a blind? Well, it's white and it's got a metal ball on the bottom or a solid ball on the bottom. I said, okay. Then he said, now watch him walk with that cane. What do you think they use that cane for? I guess to push it along in front of them, so make sure they don't run into anything, or if there's a step, they can climb the step with it. No, he says, no, no. He said, they are using their hearing to walk. I say, how is that? He says, look at the way they are tapping that cane as they walk. They go back and forth, right to left as they're walking. Tap, 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 tap. And I said, okay. He said, that tells them they have their hearing picked up better. So they're listening to the taps as they're walking. Even as they're carrying a conversation, they're listening to the tap. And they will be walking normal. But if the path changed, say like if an obstacle got in the way, they knew exactly. They would slow down, they would stop their tapping, and they would scan their cane around to see if they can find out what's in front of them. And I said, wow, wow. And so as I went along with my training and everything, I learned the spiritual part about training. And one of the things that I always do to people that I know it gets old, but those that have taken my course, I did it to you. And that is that one, I would always tell them, I said, you know how good our energy are? And they said, what? I says, I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you something that you're going to be surprised about. And you can't explain why, but don't worry about trying to figure out why, because you can never figure out why your senses are so high. And they say, okay, what is that? And I tell them, stick your tongue out. Stick your tongue out. So they do that. And I say, I say, okay, close your eyes, stick your tongue out. I got a lemon in my hand. I'm gonna put a drop of lemon juice in your tongue. Are you ready for it? Are you ready for it? And before I could continue, their mouth start watering and they start going, wait, wait, wait. And I said, now, why is your mouth started slobbering? I haven't even put the lemon drop on. Is it because I'm connecting with you energetically, spiritually? You could be thousands of miles away. And if you see me and I'm telling you what I'm doing and you have your eyes closed and you stick your tongue out, I say, are you ready? Are you ready? And your mouth is going to start slobbering with anticipation. Why? You know, because of our energy connection. You know, and same with you. I mean, you can use lemon. I mean, you could even actually say, you smell this garlic, and put a garlic clove under their nose. In the video, you can say, you smell this garlic? And they can say, yeah, yeah. Why? Why? Because of the spirit energy that we exchange. Now, is this some kind of a mysterious thing or not. No. Remember, the Trinity that we live in, mind, body, and soul. That soul is an infinite, powerful being because that soul was created by the Father and in the image of Himself. We are that powerful, but we do not we are we do not use it to the fullest extent. Why? Because again, we are reprogrammed from the time we got out of that shoot. And people say, well, how is that? How is that? I said, in a native country, it was nothing. And to this day, they are pushing breastfeeding. You know, I was breastfed when I was a baby growing up. And I remember later on when I got old enough, people started working, couldn't breastfeed. Women couldn't breastfeed. So what did they do? They get that powdered milk. I could not understand that. Put a little bit of powder in there, put water in there. What is in that powder? What is that powder? You know, giving a baby. That's not mother's milk, you know? And that's what I mean. What are they? They're trying to lower our vibration to where we don't seek. And this is part of the reason why I enjoy mentorship because wakening people up is, an experience for me. Because how I went through my training and how I'm training, I tried to be exact. But, I can't be to the exact. But I'm still kind of following the same protocol as the way I was taught. Because, again, I don't want to deviate anything in my training because everything has its purpose. Spidey Senses is one of them. We can go through a lot with that Spidey. When you connect, and your vibration is high and you're out there meditating, grounded, and all of a sudden you hear a bee fly by. Not only do you hear it fly by, but you could actually hear him probably communicating with the other bees because they know where they're going. Even a bird flying by. If you just stop and look at it and not pay attention, you can't even hear the wings flop as they fly by. But if you really stop and listen, a hummingbird, if a hummingbird comes to a feeder and starts feeding, you can actually go, ooh, ooh, ooh. You can feel the vibration that it is making in the energy field with the speed of their wings flopping, and you can hear that breaking of the, you know, energy going through when a hummingbird flies by. Not only, hummingbirds are fast and everything, but also, if you ever stop and see a turtle walk walk across the yard, and if you pay attention to the turtle, you can actually hear it walk because its belly is dragging through the grass. You can hear it, shh. We don't pay attention to this stuff. Why not? Because we do. We need to. A lot of people say it's full moon. The energy's gonna be crazy. This energy's gonna be crazy. Yes, yes, it's gonna be crazy, but only what you allow. If it's a full moon, I mean, I remember my elders used to tell me, if the full moon comes, don't go out there. What you need to do is you need to concentrate on yourself. I said, myself? I said, yeah. But how? And when I was going up through my training, 2 days before, 2 days after that full moon, period, I'd be fasting. And a spiritual person back home should be fasting every full moon to get out of that, stay out of that energy because the energy is going to be very, very rampant. And it is right now. I get a lot of people calling me and say, what's wrong with me? What's going on? Why is my computer flickering? Why is the lights flickering? Why? Don't ask why. If the if the light flickers, turn it off. You don't need it. It's daylight. Use the sun's light. Maybe that's why I'm telling you. I don't know. But if your computer flickering, shut it off and go do something else. Get off that computer because that proof computer somehow is watching you, is listening to you, and is taking up your information that you're putting in. You know, you want to be private, turn it off, unplug it. You know, a friend of mine told me one day, he says, I don't like the cell phones. I said, but I have one. I said, why? If you don't like them, why you carry it? I got to have it for work. I said, okay. He said, but when I get home, I put it in the microwave and close the door. That way that there's no communication with the cell tower and the radio phone that I have. And he said, when I get up the next morning and open it and turn it back on, it'll take a while for it to turn back on because it's reprogramming and it's gathering up the information that I may or may not have put in the phone. And it'll check my phones to see who I called. It'll check my text messages to see who I text. It'll check my Facebook profile to see who I communicate with Facebook. You know, we're being watched. You know, I was reading an article the other day. The major cities in the US, Chicago, Denver, New York, LA, in the streetlights, they now have 5G towers in the streetlights. You know, I remember as a child, going to school in junior high, we had to read the book, George Orwell, 1984, Big Brother. Big Brother gonna watch you, Big Brother going, yeah, 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 yeah. Guess what? There are cameras all over the city. Their cell phone is watching you wherever you go. I mean, you can make a cell phone call in one place and go to another place and make a phone call. They can pinpoint you using the cell phone towers of where you're at. So your Spidey senses are being manipulated. You know, get back to yourself. Raise your vibration. Remember, as I always say, AI. Don't let it scare you. You know why? A human mind created it. And that tells me that a human mind is more powerful than the AI. Start meditating, raise your vibration, and see how strong your energy really is. I've had people tell me that people can grab a spoon, a regular metal spoon, and use their energy to just bend it over, hand it to you, and you say, wow, it is a real spoon. How did that happen? Put it in there. I've been to a ceremony where a young lady be dancing in front of a feather, to a certain point when her energy and vibration rises, not anybody around, but that young lady dancing in front of it. Then all of a sudden, that feather would stand up and start dancing with that little young lady. And then when it gets done, it go back down. What causes that? What causes that? Until you know about your energy, you will never understand how that happened. And we're not meant to understand it. We're just meant to accept it, accept our own energy, how powerful we are. You know, people tell me, I had sleep paralysis last night. People, I mean, the dark was just coming after me. And I was yelling for my family. I was yelling for this. If I could just do this, I'd wake up. They tell me, why was I attacked? I said, well, first of all, we have the higher source, creator. We have the higher beings, protectors, whether it's Archangel Michael, ETs, whoever you resonate with, your higher source, call upon them. They're like hovering over you constantly, 24/7, waiting for you to call upon them. And minute you call upon them, they're there. Because like I tell people, I guarantee you, if the dark comes after you, it's just not one. There's an army behind that one that's initiating the attack. And we should always walk being connected. One of the things that, you know, I was told to be when I died and experienced crossing over and then coming back, I asked, what does Father want me to do? Preach? Be an evangelist? Missionary? What does he want me to do? Nothing. Nothing. Never read the Bible, never go to church, and he wants me to do nothing. He said, that's right. And I said, follow the gospel. Well, what is the gospel? Being Christ-like, in Christ consciousness. Think about that. Christ-like, Christ consciousness. Because we know he's using an example of Yeshua, Jesus. Everybody know, but we know his real name wasn't Jesus, or it wasn't Jesus Christ. But yet, religion put him as that way. But what I was told was follow the gospel, meaning stay connected. Be Christ-like, meaning that keep your vibration high. Continually walk in high vibration. Things happen. I share a lot about raising your vibration. The first three earthly chakras are about you. That's your trinity. Mind, body, and soul you're working on. And when you get to the fourth one, you're crossing into the esoteric realm. Transformation starts on the third chakra, but when you get into the fourth chakra, you are transformed because you are already experienced the things that are undescribable. And when you get to the esoteric realm of the next three chakras, those are the higher chakras on earth. Why do I say on earth? Because those esoteric chakras do a lot of things. Shape-shifting, remote viewing, seeing, making contacts with ETs, Bigfoot. Yes, Bigfoot's out there. He's just smarter than we are to where we don't, because typical thing, if we see Bigfoot, what is the first thing that comes to our mind? Shoot it and kill it so I can prove that I saw Bigfoot, I got him. Why? Why do we want to do that? He ain't got no reason to be shot at. He's not causing any harm, you know? So those things in the esoteric realm, they'll come and show you. I had a guy come up to me and says, let me show you something. You believe in Bigfoot? I said, well, yeah. My energy was, he could see my energy was high. He said, I want to share this with you. He showed me pictures of Bigfoot. He showed me a picture of the uh, cast that he made out of plaster on Bigfoot's footprint. He said, before I could do that, I had to ask Bigfoot if it's okay for me to cast his footprint. The footprint was about 22 inches long. He said, and that's a young one. And I said, wow. He was showing me pictures. He said, they actually came out. He said, yeah. Every night I go into the woods, I get myself in a higher vibration. I go in the woods, I see it. You know, ETs. I've been taught about it. In my native tribe, we have fraternity lodges, Riverstood, hieroglyphs have it. And why are people still denying it? I mean, back home, when I went back home, even my own sister told me that these things are happening around the village. And when they finally connected with them, they said, we're not here to hurt you. We're here to protect you. And I said, wow, that's a good, safe message because, yeah, they're in a higher dimension and they know what's going on. They're everywhere, all over the world, all over Mother Earth. They're protecting Mother Earth. Those ETs are, so you want to experience it? Raise your vibration. Understand your Spidey senses. I just got the two of them. But, the other one is sight. I always tell people, how do you work with your third eye? Blindfold, color codes. You know, I say start out with two cards, practice. Remember, everything you do, raise your vibration. Everything you do, any exercise you are given, practice makes perfect. So when I tell people, get two cards, blindfold, look at the cards, blindfold, and then let the person in front of you raise one of them. When they raise it, closing your eyes, use your third eye, whatever color comes to you. Remember, you got two colors. So you got a 50-50 chance of getting it right or wrong. You keep practicing until you get 100%. When you get 100%, throw in the third one. When you get 100% with the third one, throw in the fourth one. Go all the way to the fifth. Then you start surprising yourself of how your third eye is working with your senses. You know, a crown. Communication is always sending and receiving with the universe, with the astral. See, again, earthly chakras. Then you go into the esoteric. Esoteric prepares you for the astral, which is the higher vibration above seven chakra. You know, so work your vibrations up. I share step by step because that's what I was taught. Doing it step by step. That way, first of all, the very first thing is protecting yourself. Elders used to squinch when they hear about a rocket going up in space and coming back down. I would listen to them, and they would, when it comes down, they would always say, I said, what's wrong? Isn't this advance in technology? They said, we're not worried about that. Technology's always been out here. It's not that. It's what they're bringing from space back to Earth. Do they sanitize it as it's going through the ionosphere, stratosphere, troposphere? Are they sanitizing the capsules it's coming through? No. You see it splashing the ocean, and boom, they hover over it. They don't even they don't even sanitize themselves, or they don't even protect themselves. Boom, they open the door and they're pulling them out. I mean, what are they bringing? Even digging, drilling into Mother Earth. You say there's no telling what they're pulling out from underneath. So understand your senses. Protect yourself. Protect your senses. When you meditate and pray, work on them. When you have exercises, continue the exercise to where you will get good at it, to where it becomes natural as part of your life. Stay connected. Let it be part of your life. And remember, when you get to the heart chakra, you're being transformed. That's transformation, vibration, transformation in the seven conscious level, you know. So I wanted to share this with you. And in closing, now One Nation Tribal Alliance has a web page. How about that? Its web page is onenationtribalalliance.com. So we're just now starting it, but we're going to put more stuff in there to keep you all updated about how we can help you raise your vibration, how we can help you in cleansing, in protection. You know, we're here for you, community, because my partner Kim and I, we want to share the knowledge because we love y'all and we want to be able to be here for you if you need us. I want to thank you and I want to say Elakwa Izuni. You know, is that really thank you? No, that is saying many blessings, you know. So this is what I had to share. I just want to say again, we're here. We got a new webpage. And, you know, if you want to sign up for a mentor, it's on the webpage. Tell you how to do it. OneNationTribalAlliance.com. And if you need to get a hold of me, it's Yawakia, YAWAKIA, at OneNationTribalAlliance.com. I love you and thank you for allowing me to share. And you all have a blessed day. Bye bye.